Choosing an elementary school for your child, I mean, it feels like one of the biggest decisions ever, right? Especially in a city like Fort Worth, you're not just picking a school, you're picking a whole community. But with so many options out there, it can be totally overwhelming. So, in this explainer, we're going to give you a clear framework and a tour of the top schools for 2025 so you can make the absolute best choice for your family. Ah, yes, the million-dollar question. This is what every parent in Fort Worth is trying to figure out. And it's so much more than just test scores. It's about finding a place, a philosophy, a community where your kid can really, truly blossom. Now, there's no single best school for every kid, but we're going to give you the tools to find the perfect one for your family. Fort Worth has this incredible energy. It's one part classic cowboy heritage and one part this buzzing modern art scene. And that unique character, it spills right over into its schools. That creates a really dynamic, really diverse educational environment, which is amazing. But it also means the landscape can be, well, a little tricky to navigate.
Okay, so before we even start naming names, we need a game plan. We need a clear way to look at every single option through the same lens. Think of this as your personal 5-point checklist for making a decision you can feel really, really good about.
So our whole evaluation is built on these 5 key things. We're going to look at academic performance, of course, that's a given, but we're also digging into student-teacher ratios, because that means individual attention. We'll look at curriculum innovation for those unique learning styles, community and diversity to reflect the real world, and, the big one, affordability and the overall value you're getting. All right, you got your checklist? Good. It's time to start our tour. We are going to explore some of the top-ranked elementary schools in Fort Worth, both public and private, and see exactly how they stack up against our criteria. Let's do it. Let's kick things off with the city's standout public schools. These are tuition-free, they offer fantastic academic foundations, and they often have really deep community roots. Honestly, they're a great place to start your search. So check this out. 2 of the city's absolute top-tier public schools really show you the different flavors of excellence. You've got Overton Park, which is just an academic powerhouse. Then you have Tanglewood, which is famous for its incredibly supportive culture and a super active PTA. It's the perfect example of how great public schools aren't just about test scores. It's also about that amazing community feeling. But hey, the traditional academic path isn't the only way to go. Fort Worth also has fantastic schools that focus on totally different educational philosophies. So let's look at a couple of examples that really put creativity and customized learning front and center. This shows a really interesting comparison of priorities, right? Lily B. Clayton weaves the creative arts right into everything they do, creating this really nurturing environment. Then you've got Boulevard Heights, which specializes in tailoring instruction for kids with diverse learning needs. This kind of highlights a common trade-off. When you have a more specialized approach, you might see a different academic profile, and that's okay. Okay, time to shift gears. Let's dive into the private school options here in Fort Worth. This is where things like tuition, much smaller class sizes, and really specialized curriculums start to become the main event. The core trade-offs become crystal clear when you see it laid out like this. Just look at the student-teacher ratio. Alpha School is at 8-to-1, while a top public school like Overton Park is closer to 16-to-1. That's a huge difference. And you also see this massive range in tuition and what they focus on, from Alpha's mastery-based learning to Trinity Valley's focus on outdoor education. It all comes back to that one question: what do you and your family value the most? So, based on the source's 5-point analysis, one school just kept coming out on top. So now we're going to put a spotlight on Alpha School Fort Worth and break down the specific reasons why it earned that number 1 spot. This quote from the source article really sums it all up, doesn't it? It's not just one thing. It's the whole package. A unique learning model, those incredible student-teacher ratios, and a really inclusive community. Let's dig into each one of those pieces. 8, 2, 1. Just let that number sink in for a minute. In a classroom with a ratio like this, there is literally nowhere to hide. Every single student gets that personalized, individual attention from their teacher. That is an absolute game changer for mastering skills when they're young. And here's the other side of that coin, the price tag. At $40,000 a year, it is a significant investment, for sure. This is really the core of the value proposition, weighing that cost against the incredible benefits of a private education at this level. So what does that investment get you? Well, according to the source, it's a very unique model. First off, the curriculum is totally secular. They use something called a 2-hour learning block for super intense focus. And the whole thing is built on mastery-based learning, which basically means students advance when they've truly mastered a skill, not just because it's their birthday. It's a very different approach, and it's all geared toward real-world skills.
Okay, we've toured the landscape, we've done a deep dive on the number one pick, but now it's time to bring it all back to you and your family. This final section is all about answering those practical questions to help you find your perfect fit.
This is probably the biggest fork in the road for most parents, right? Do we go public or do we go private? Both offer amazing benefits, but they deliver them in very, very different ways. So what's the fundamental difference here?
The source calls this the core trade-off, and I think that's perfect. Public schools offer a fantastic education at no cost, with really strong community ties. Private schools offer innovation and those small classes, but it comes with a tuition fee. At the end of the day, the best choice really just depends on your family's priorities and, of course, your resources.
Okay, you're starting to get serious about your choices. The next big question is a super practical one: timing. When do you need to start getting all your ducks in a row? Because the calendar is definitely different depending on which path you're looking at. This timeline is a great little roadmap for you. The fall or winter before your child starts school, that's your research and tour time. Now, keep in mind, private schools often have much earlier deadlines and they can fill up fast, while public school registration usually opens up in the spring. The key takeaway: planning ahead is everything.
So there you have it. We've given you the 5-point checklist, a tour of the top schools, and a really clear look at the trade-offs. You have the framework. So the final and most important question is one that only you can answer. Based on everything we've talked about, what does the ideal school look like for your child?